The theater was quiet in a soft, waiting way. The kind of quiet that feels gentle, not empty. Lights moved slowly across the wide stage, warm and calm, like a sunset indoors. The audience settled into their seats, coats folded over arms, hands resting on laps. Some people whispered, but most simply waited. It was another long day of auditions on America's Got Talent, and everyone could feel the slow rhythm of time moving forward. Backstage, a man stood alone near the curtain. His name was Daniel Reyes. He was from the Philippines, but today he stood on an American stage, thousands of miles from home. He wore a simple white suit with a soft shine, carefully pressed. The collar was open just a little. His black hair was styled neatly, and his shoes reflected the lights like still water. To some, he looked like Elvis Presley stepped out of an old photograph. To Daniel, he just looked like himself, trying to be brave. Daniel took a slow breath. He had learned to breathe this way years ago, back when he sang on small street corners near his home. The streets were loud there, full of jeepneys, voices, and heat. Singing had been his escape. His father used to play old Elvis songs on a small radio, the sound crackling but warm. As a boy, Daniel would sit close, listening carefully, feeling the emotion in every note. Those songs stayed with him long after his father passed away. That memory returned now, quietly, like a hand resting on his shoulder. A stage assistant gave him a small nod. It was time. Daniel walked forward as the curtain opened. The lights grew brighter, but not harsh. The stage felt wide and open, like a deep breath. The audience looked up, curious. Some smiled when they saw him. Others leaned forward, trying to understand what they were seeing. At the judges' table, Simon Cowell watched closely. His expression was calm, careful. Heidi Klum tilted her head slightly, noticing the suit, the posture. Howie Mandel smiled with interest, already sensing something unusual. Sofia Vergara whispered something under her breath, eyes bright with curiosity. Daniel reached the center of the stage and stopped. He held the microphone gently, not gripping it too tightly. For a moment, he said nothing. The silence stretched, but it did not feel uncomfortable. It felt respectful. "Hello," Daniel said softly. "Hello," the judges replied. "My name is Daniel Reyes," he continued. "I am from the Philippines." The audience applauded lightly. "I grew up listening to Elvis Presley," Daniel said. "My father loved his music. When life was hard, those songs helped us feel less alone." His voice did not shake, but it carried a quiet weight. Simon leaned back slightly, listening. "So what will you be singing today?" Simon asked. Daniel smiled, small and sincere. "I will sing a song by Elvis. It is very special to me." Simon nodded. "Okay, good luck." Daniel closed his eyes for a brief moment. He imagined his father sitting nearby, radio in hand, smiling the way he used to. Then he opened his eyes and gave a small nod to the band. The first notes began slowly. Soft, familiar. A gentle murmur moved through the audience as recognition settled in. Daniel started to sing, and his voice came out warm and deep, smooth like velvet. It did not rush. It did not try to impress. It simply existed, full and honest. From the very first line, something changed in the room. People sat up straighter. Conversation stopped completely. The air felt thicker, as if the sound itself had weight. Daniel's voice carried the spirit of Elvis, but it was not an imitation. It was a tribute, shaped by years of personal memory and quiet respect. Simon's eyebrows lifted just a little. Daniel moved slowly across the stage, one step at a time, letting the song guide him. His hands followed the rhythm naturally. Every word landed clearly. There was no strain, no fear, only presence. As the song continued, Daniel's thoughts drifted to the years after his father's death. The small apartment, the long nights, singing at local events for little money, sometimes only applause. People would tell him he sounded like Elvis, and he would smile, but inside he wondered if that was enough. If sounding like someone else could still be meaningful. Now, standing on this stage, he felt the answer forming with every note. Heidi placed a hand over her chest. Her eyes softened. Howie leaned forward, resting his chin on his hand, completely focused. Sophia's smile faded into something more serious, more touched. The song grew stronger, but Daniel kept it controlled. He did not push. He trusted the space between notes. That space carried emotion just as much as sound. Halfway through, something gentle happened. Daniel's voice cracked, just slightly, on a single word. It was not a mistake. It was human. It felt like a window opening. The audience felt it too. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes. A man beside her nodded slowly, as if remembering something long forgotten. The room was no longer a theater. It felt like a shared memory. Simon swallowed and shifted in his chair. As the final chorus approached, Daniel opened his eyes wider. He looked out at the crowd, not as strangers, but as people willing to listen. His voice lifted, not louder, but fuller. Richer. It carried gratitude, loss, hope, and love all at once. When the last note faded, Daniel held still. He did not rush to smile. He let the silence come back. For a moment, no one clapped. Then the audience rose to their feet as one. The applause was loud, but not wild. It was deep, honest. It rolled through the room like thunder that follows rain. Cheers mixed with clapping. Some people called his name. Daniel bowed his head slightly, eyes shining. He felt light, as if something heavy had finally been set down. The judges stood too. Simon was the last to sit back down. He looked at Daniel carefully before speaking. That, Simon said slowly, was not just a performance. That was a moment. The audience applauded again. You didn't try to copy Elvis, Simon continued. You honored him, and you brought yourself into it. That takes courage. Daniel nodded, unable to speak yet. Heidi leaned toward her microphone. Your voice is so warm, she said. It feels like a hug. I could listen to you all night. Howie smiled broadly. You gave me goosebumps, he said. Real ones. That doesn't happen often. Sophia blinked back tears. I don't even know how to explain it, she said. It was beautiful. You made me feel something very deep. Daniel finally spoke. Thank you, he said quietly. Simon glanced at the other judges, then back at Daniel. This show is about finding something special, he said. And I think you have it. The crowd leaned forward. Simon smiled slightly. It's a yes from me. Yes, Heidi said. Yes, Howie added. Yes, 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 Sophia said, laughing through tears. Daniel covered his mouth with one hand, overwhelmed. The lights seemed brighter now, but softer too. The audience cheered again, louder this time. As Daniel left the stage, he felt a calm settle over him. Not excitement, not fear. Just peace. Backstage, he paused and looked up at the ceiling. We did it, he whispered, thinking of his father. Outside the theater, the night was cool and quiet. Daniel stepped into it slowly, still wearing the white suit, still carrying the echo of applause in his chest. He knew the journey was not over. There would be more challenges, more waiting, more doubt. But now he also knew something else. His voice mattered. His story mattered. And somewhere, in the space between old songs and new dreams, he had found his place.